right, something pretentious. We are live.
Hello.
Hello to all our beautiful fans who I'm sure are here right this very minute.
Yes, everyone was just waiting, repeatedly clicking that play button and trying to get a stream going.
Yeah. Good, you did your job.
Sorry?
Nothing, I'm just being annoying. Just being annoying.
As long as I know.
Why don't we give it 2 or 3 minutes, wait for the trickle in, and then we'll get started.
You cut up a bit there.
I cut out a bit? I'm sorry. I said, why don't we just wait 2 or 3 minutes and then for people to show up, and then we can get started.
Right. Sounds good. Hello to everyone who's already tuned in, the loyal viewers.
You get some alone time with us. Mwahahaha.
See, it starts off nice, it starts off like, yeah, that's a real personal connection, and then it's like, should I be worried about this? There's only so much you can do over the internet, but I'm still nervous now.
I think the answer when I'm involved is you should always be worried. I have 2 cats over here and they're going a little crazy.
They just want to get in on the chat.
Hey Bub, you want to come on stream? Come here, Bub.
I might have to turn on the stream now.
He didn't want to come on stream. He ran away. Oh. I have to say, with just the fan running and not the AC, this is gonna be I'm gonna be a sweaty boy this stream. Let's put it that way.
Lucky ass.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Bit hot over there then.
I forget how to check who's watching. I used to know how to do this.
Users in chat in the top right of the stream. It looks like it's just me and
Oh.
Elpi.
Who knew? Look at something pretentious like knowing Twitch buttons and stuff.
Yeah, it's almost as if I watch Twitch streams. Oh, we've got 4 users now, but it hasn't come up B yet.
Alright, let's see. I'm having another request to increase your volume, so we're gonna do that.
Okay, I can move the microphone closer.
No, but I can just turn you up in Discord, so don't worry too much about it.
Okay, great. I decided instead of holding the microphone in my hand for 3 hours this time, I would just leave it on the desk.
That's probably wise. I turned you up. We'll see what the chat has to say going forward.
Ooh. I'll try not to shout.
That's better, so I don't think you need to be shouting too much.
Okay, great. I am lazy, Lucas, thank you. It's called efficiency, but lazy, efficient. Okay, it looks like we've got some viewers.
Yeah, let's fire things up. So we're gonna be looking at the three highest board games that we didn't get to last week, and that's going to include 2 board 2 games and a board 1 game. So the first game is going to be a game between XP156 and Lost Earthworm, and it's sort of funny. I feel like every year, or not every year, every season, XP gets a game in these reviews. Like, am I crazy?
I have not checked. Even though I'm very involved in picking the games, I can't say I checked the previous reviews to make sure we're being fair. I feel like it shouldn't matter whose game it is as long as it's interesting.
No, I'm not like saying like XP shouldn't get a game. I just like either he's playing really interesting chess, and that's awesome, or he's just dominating all his games.
Well, we do get that, but we try and take into account everyone else's feedback as well, instead of just who's nominated the most.
Also, we picked this game, so we thought it was interesting at least. So
yeah, I mean, if you nominate 3, you're gonna have more chance than nominating none.
that's true. The other games that are coming later, we have a board 2 game between our very own Something Pretentious and KN960. And the last game is a board 1 showdown between arguably the 2 best players in the league. Should I say best? I don't know.
Yeah, I would say definitely up there, but probably the best.
2 of like the top 5 players in the league in International Master Loveless and Assassin in White, who's a very strong player. So, why don't we get started with this game between XP and Lost Earthworm? It's something that I know a little bit about. It's a French.
Excellent.
You ever come into the dark side, Something Pretentious?
I have played the French in my brief forays into E4. What's the one with the like knight d2? Is that a Tarrasch?
That's a Tarrasch, yeah.
Yeah, I played that line.
Gotcha. Something Pretentious decides that he hates himself even more than French players, so he plays the hyper accelerated dragon.
Yes, that's fair.
And here we get an exchange French. Lots of people like to complain about the exchange French, but I don't personally mind playing it as black. I play it very dynamically for black, so I don't mind seeing this. But it does get a very boring reputation because the structure is symmetrical. But since white has the extra move, white will always have a slight edge in this position. White goes knight f3, bishop d6. This is totally fine. Of course, there's nothing wrong with the move knight f6, which is an extremely common symmetrical move. Or I also like to play the move knight c6 in this position. And the idea behind this knight c6 move is eventually black is going to queenside castle and then launch an attack on the king side. But bishop d6 is a totally normal, totally standard move. And here white goes c4, which is actually probably one of the most ambitious ways to play the position. Why is this such an interesting move, Something Pretentious?
So it's pretty open. It's gonna burst the position open, and as we see, it does turn into quite a tactile mess. You're not developing a piece, and it's not as closed as the structures you get that I am much more familiar with in like the Queen's Gambit, where you'd have the pawn on e2 or e3. So they've got a comment saying gambiting the pawn basically right, but you can recapture with the bishop and it helps your defense.
Yeah, so
I would say it's quite loose.
Yeah, totally. It's definitely going to be a more open game. What's the trade-off that white is accepting here?
Ooh, the isolated queen pawn. I didn't realize that's what you were driving at, but when you prime me like that, I can work things out.
Yeah, so this is I find this really interesting because white is basically forcing himself to accept an isolated queen's pawn. Whether black takes or white takes on d5, we're going to get this isolated queen's pawn structure, which means that white is going to need to stir up initiative and active piece play, or else he'll just have structural weaknesses. So knight f6, knight c3, here black castles, and as far as I'm concerned, there's an only move in this position. What would you play as white here, Something Pretentious?
I would probably take on d5 because of the game continuation, which I don't really like.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, white needs to take on d5 here because black is ready to deliver this check on e8, and there's no good way to meet this. For instance, if you play bishop e2, then I'm going to take on c4. And or maybe I play rook e8 first. No, but I'd probably take on c4. And you don't really want to take this back, so you castle. I go rook e8, you take here, and you wasted a tempo going bishop e2, bishop c4, which is not ideal. In the game, white went bishop g5, which I think is actually a very unpleasant move. We'll see why this doesn't work out. So I think white should be taking here. Also, something to note, black cannot immediately recapture this pawn. So I'm not entirely sure how black is playing this position. What would you do here, something?
Either maybe rook e8, or maybe just kind of ignore it and develop.
Well, rook e8 is probably a good move, right? You get the rook on an open file, and then how are we getting this back? Do we have time for like this sort of stuff with knight d7, knight b6?
I mean, how are we defending that? I like where bishop's kind of stuck now. There's a pawn blocking it. Do we want to pop the pawn out? That seems.
I mean, white's next move will be castles. But I'm not in time for bishop c4. Oh, and this is sort of clever. If queen b3, I have this.
Yeah, and this is something that comes up in the game as well.
Because I'm pointing out that your e2 bishop is going to hang after the knight exchange. So.
Oh, not even just that. There's a thematic tactic that we'll get to.
I forgot, but I guess I'll figure it out. The point is, white needs to take this not with the idea of holding on to this pawn, but with the idea of developing his pieces to good squares, and probably not playing queen b3 here, but playing some other move like bishop g5. Actually, bishop g5 defends your pawn. I guess I can just go bishop e7 if I really want.
Yeah, no, this seems reasonable.
Yeah, black will get the pawn back, but white has got all his pieces out on active squares. I think this should be okay for white. I don't think white is like crushingly better though. I don't even get a hi from Quirked. Hi Moha, nice to see you. Sorry, I've been focusing on the game, but lovely to see you in chat. So after white's move bishop g5, things become a little bit suspicious for white because black takes here, goes rook e8, and all of a sudden black has put the bishop on sort of a passive square. The bishop had to move twice, and black seems to be taking over the initiative. h6, bishop h4, and bishop g4. And all of a sudden, like, white has the isolated queen pawn, but it seems like black has the more active pieces. It's supposed to be the other way around. We had a question in chat. Why didn't black play rook e8 first? Because here, after takes castles, white will take back on c4, and the bishop is happier to be on c4 than on e2. So this is why black chose to take on c4 and then play rook e8 to force the bishop back to e2. So instead we saw this. Yeah, and like all the black pieces are very active except for these guys, but they'll get out eventually. Whereas the white pieces, it's not clear that they're terribly active. Like these bishops aren't doing so great here. So already I prefer black a little bit. White has the structural weakness, and black seems to have the compensation. Castles, knight c6. All right, putting pressure here. Also, we're setting up a little something, right? Something pretentious.
Exactly, and this is the tactic that I alluded to. So you always have to pay attention to alignment, and not especially from the defended queen on d1, but the alignment here with the bishop in the way.
Oh my god!
It's kind of defending a piece that eventually lands on d4, and we'll see what that looks like in the game. But essentially, there's this discovery, which you just have to be aware of in this position as well. because otherwise it's too late. So your tactical senses should be tingling here.
Yeah. So what's a good move in this position? Something pretentious.
I would probably play d5 if I can get away with it.
D5, I'm worried about. D5, something like knight. I was gonna go knight e5. Actually, hold on. D5, you tempt me. Wait, no, you don't tempt me. It's not tempting. I wanted like this sort of stuff, and my point is if you go queen takes, there's knight d4. But of course, you don't go queen takes, you go knight takes. Ah, but even here, is this anything?
I mean, you mess with the structure, but yeah, now I just play knight. I don't know.
D4.
Yeah, knight d4 looks nice.
Yeah, that's probably the best move. Yeah.
It's a little scary.
No,
but that pawn's doing quite a good job.
But this is not enough. Okay, so after d5, I'll just play knight e5.
Yeah, I don't really want to be trading so much, but I can at least play something like knight d4 still and get rid of some of that pressure.
I'm not sure this is what you want to be doing. I feel like black has an initiative here. Let me take this.
Okay. If I don't want to drop anything, I should probably take back this way.
Oh, you tempt me, sir. You tempt me.
I don't think you've got anything here.
But you tempt me. I'm definitely going g5 here.
Okay. Yeah, this might be uncomfortable.
Even if I don't have something immediately, like there's pressure against this pawn. And there's...
Yeah, but at the same time, you've weakened your structure a lot. This is...
I'll have king h.
not ideal.
Okay. I agree. There's a trade-off there.
Anyway, it's complicated. I feel
complicated.
Like you should be playing actively instead of what did white actually play here.
Well, yeah. The problem with h3 is that it doesn't change anything about the tactic.
Yeah.
We had a question on queen takes e2. Sorry, not this line. Knight e5, knight d4. On queen takes e2, doesn't knight g4 work? The answer is sort of. The problem is I can take it. Because unfortunately I got this a little pin action going on. Oh, I've hung h2 though.
Yeah,
this is complicated though. You have to take your bishop back, right? And now...
Yeah.
And you have bishop e5 question mark? No, but then I get two pieces. I'm happy there. No, you had bishop e5. Maybe this works. Strangely enough. Kodam is also pointing out that this move order is possible. Which is true. Why would I have to go king h1? It would transpose. So,
yeah, true.
If I can't do that, I can just play... Oh, my queen's hanging. Oh, this is just working. Yeah, this is just a strong suggestion. Because you have that bishop e5 at the end hitting the loose knight, and it just works. Okay, so
it turns out you can.
Yeah, after knight e5, I thought you couldn't do this, but I couldn't prove it. But knight g4 is a nice find. So I think you probably take or something, and then take. I guess you take with queen question mark.
Queen takes, rook takes, and then you're losing that pawn, are you?
Are you? I go like queen d3.
Yeah, still a pin.
Because you do, this knight is still pinned, and if you go g5, I would tempo the rook. Look, I think black is better, but I don't think it's an immediate something. The move I was looking at here was the move king h1. Just dodging this ever being a check.
Yeah. I guess that works.
Yeah, this is sort of thematic in a lot of... I get this a lot in Queen's Gambit, where black is threatening some bishop takes h2, and you just go king h1 and say, okay, you can take there if you want, but it's not going to work out the way you really want. So, ow! I can't. This is Bub. Bub just scratched my heel because he's a bad little kitty. Aren't you? Aren't you? Go away.
I had to turn the stream on for that. Worth it.
Yeah, I love him, but he just scratched my heel. So yeah, I think king h1 works here, but after h3, things start to go a little south. Takes, and as me and SP have been pointing out, there's this tactic with knight takes d4, because of course you cannot recapture here because there's a discovery against the unprotected queen. The chat is saying that you're the kitten.
I am the kitten.
So this, of course, the white player didn't fall for this. They're strong enough to see these sorts of tactics. So instead, perhaps they actually calculated this and saw that they have this move bishop takes b7 to regain the pawn. But there's a little bit of a problem here. You're trading a center pawn for a flank pawn, and also you're giving this a rook a really nasty open file. So after bishop takes b7, rook b8, black just has so much activity. Like this bishop stares at the king, rook on an open file. It's like all of black's pieces are doing something magical, whereas, you know, white's pieces seem to be sort of randomly all over the board.
Yeah, it's always a little bit double-edged taking that pawn on any of those like g2, b2, b7, g7 squares where the rook can come out onto the open file. Because yes, you get the pawn, but you have to be aware of that counter punch. Now I have a question for you. I never get to give you these product puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
Where would you put the bishop now?
So, I know the game continuation. Which...
Yeah, so the game...
I feel like it's best, right?
Yeah, correct.
So
what's wrong with bishop f3?
Well, the problem with bishop f3 is that... so bishop f3 looks extremely natural. But the problem with bishop f3 is that this knight is still tactically defended. So I think I can just play something like rook takes b2.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a really nice nice find by white, not playing just the normal boring move. Because bishop d5 is not the first move that would occur to me. It's under attack, I know there's a pin on the knight, but it just seems a little strange. But it's renewing that threat and taking it on d4.
Yeah, so Moha's saying, what about bishop d5? Bishop d5 was played in the game, and it's probably the best move. just interfering with this sort of tactical protection of the knight on d4. I just want to go back because I think this is a really crucial moment. I feel like it's very possible that White saw what was going to happen here. And he saw that at the end of the line, he picks up the b7 pawn. Because, like, these are board 2 players, they're reasonably strong players. It's not, like, I think they see, like, this sort of stuff. But I think White probably saw a little bit further and saw he had this bishop takes b7. But what I would argue that the White player didn't do here is, I think the White player calculated, but it's important that after you calculate, that you evaluate the position. So after rook b8, you need to evaluate this position. Is this good for me or is this not good for me? And I think if you take that extra second to evaluate the position, you'll realize this is just not a good position for White. Like 2 active rooks, active knight, active bishop, bishop in la-la land, bishop in la-la land, rooks doing nothing. So I think taking that extra step at the end of your calculation to evaluate the position that comes up is very, very important and something that even high-level players struggle with. I know I struggle with it sometimes. So, any comments?
No, I think that's a really important point. Calculation gets you to a point, but if you're not actually winning material, it's sometimes difficult to say what do you prefer, and that's when all of the considerations like the central pawns or the pawn structure or the piece activity all come in. And yeah, it's definitely something that you see a big difference on between like board 2 and board 1.
I would say
that's the kind of next step.
I would say even if you do win material, like say you win a pawn, you still need to evaluate, is this a good position for me? Because, you know, winning a pawn, it's not always everything in the world. So always evaluating after your calculation. Here, White went bishop d5. Black went bishop c5, which I don't know why the bishop is so great on this diagonal. I liked it a lot better on this diagonal. So I would consider the move pawn c5 here, just protecting my knight. Like, what does White play here?
Do you have to play something like b3? It's slow, but or how else are you defending that pawn? It's just kind of awkward.
But you also have another problem. So b3, g5?
Sure. Then, oh yeah, then you've got the attack on the bishop. Nice.
Just something like this.
It is a problem.
But I'm just starting to realize that f7 is a little tender here. Oh, but I take
You
this.
want to take on f7 first?
Oh, you're losing. Oh, I won on accident. This was not my idea.
Yeah, yeah it's a strong idea, g5.
Wow.
So I probably don't have time to defend that.
That was some accidental genius right there.
I wish that happened to me more often.
Do you have to play me? Okay, how about you play this?
Okay, queen takes.
Now do you have time for this?
Ooh.
And you know some of this stuff, right?
Yeah, this looks uncomfortable.
Or I think f4 is more correct. Well, maybe e5 is better. I don't know.
Just play g3 here.
Yeah, just play g3, something like this.
And drop the bishop back.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know about
I feel
this.
like we misplayed that. But it's still strong for black.
Did you? I'm not sure we misplayed
No,
that.
I feel like black's misplayed it.
No, I understand. I'm not sure I agree with that. Okay, but let's...
It seems like there was more.
It's possible. Let's think.
want some sort of discovery.
So if discovery against what?
Knight.
Oh, I was not aware of this tactical theme in the position. Yeah, if you want a discovery, play knight takes b3.
That does not work, does it?
Why not? Question
Oh,
mark?
yeah, okay. Yeah, you can't play queen takes. Fair enough, yep. Let's do that.
Yeah, this looks to win a pawn, at least.
Do you win back on a7?
After a takes?
Yes, and then queen takes knight.
Yeah, potentially.
And now we're hitting here.
Okay, I have an improvement. Queen e5.
Okay. What is your point here?
Play g3.
I kind of want to play f4 now.
Well, why would you do that?
To spoil your fun, but okay, I'll play g3.
Oh shit, you're hitting f7. Alright, this
You wanted to sack?
Yeah, I wanted this.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough there.
Well, especially not when you're taking f7. That I agree with. So, yeah, okay, I missed that f7. Okay, fine. I think just prodding the king side is good enough. You know, here, then go here. What were you playing here? Bishop g2, right? Okay, but this is an accomplishment for me. The bishop is, you know, no longer threatening my f7 pawn. I can go like h5 probably is a good move.
Yeah, black's definitely better here.
Also, I think I want to play c4 at some point. I can't do it right away, but I want to play c4. But I would play h5 here, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. This is pretty nice.
I just don't see what white is really accomplishing here. Okay, black played bishop c5 instead, which seems less strong because the bishop no longer has these ideas to take on g3, so white is less tactically vulnerable here, I think. White played the
it's
move...
almost undeveloping a piece.
White played queen d3. What's the idea?
Take the pawn. Is there knight a4?
Oh, I know the idea. I forgot this was this game. So, I went through the exact same thought process that the black player went through, except the black player missed a key detail of this thought process. So my question here is, I want to take this bishop because this looks like a piece, and then I went, oh wait, I'm pinned. So my idea is, what happens when I break the pin? And you know, if white goes bishop g3, then I take here and I collect my piece, and I'm very happy with myself for being a good chess player. However, white has cleverly played the move queen d3, which says, hey, g5 may be a slight mistake due to queen g6 check. Hey, how you doing over here? Nice to see ya. So this actually occurred in the game, this queen g6 check. So queen d3 is directed at preventing g5 so that black cannot win this piece on d5.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. Is there any other way to save the bishop? You could just move it back, I assume.
Yeah, you could just move it. Well, that's the thing. I'm wondering if there's some other way to take advantage of this queen d3 move. Well, the first thought I have is take this.
Yeah, knight a4. Does that work?
Rooks. Mm-hmm.
I guess that does drop the bishop.
Yeah, but you're hitting the rook on b2.
Oh, okay. So knight here, queen takes, take the rook. Oh, now I'm defending the queen. I was looking at this, and then the
Yeah.
queen is defended.
That's a nice try for sure. Can I do something similar like this?
If I take the knight now, though.
Take the knight? Oh, on f6? I'll play g takes. Queen g6, queen g6, queen g6.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't do that. Oh.
So queen takes.
Yeah, but then this, what am I getting here? Not much, right?
Yeah, this was just kind of transposed.
Okay, well, this, where's
Not
the
transposed, but traded down rather.
Yeah, this is not full advantage. So rook b2, knight a4 is a little bit interesting, actually. Do I have this?
Okay, of course.
How exactly do I want to do this? I have so many possibilities.
About this.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at, right? This is so sharp. So this rook takes b2 stuff is really interesting. I think this is good for black. I mean, at the very least, black just trades down into a pretty drawish position. What? Oh. You have a point. You have a good point. Even here, though.
Yeah, this is not a great position to play. I don't think that really works because it's defended twice.
Oh, yeah, fair. Yeah, okay, so we missed that. What's the best move then?
I have no idea. It's not easy. I really don't want to play something like rook b1. That's just horrendous.
Well, no, I mean after queen d3.
Oh, right.
It has to be rook takes b2.
Yeah, we're greedy.
Well, there just has to be something in this knight a4 line. I don't believe it. Not for 1 second.
Do you want to switch on the old silicon faithful?
Hold on. I got this.
Okay.
I have a dumb idea. And we know that I like dumb ideas.
I do not see the point.
I don't know if I do,
I'll
but
take it.
I do this. I'm just playing for activity. Ah, shit, you can take that.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
It's a trade, is it not?
No, it's check.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Ooh. I do like tempo moves.
This is a ridiculous position.
Look, I'm down in exchange, but boy do I... Excuse me?
You're just gonna take that, yeah?
Yeah, I'm just gonna take the rip. Now I
Yeah,
have piece
that is
activity and
ridiculous.
I'm not down material. Look, I'm just saying I have really, really active pieces in response for this exchange. Let's quickly check the engine, because there's no world in which rook d2 is actually the right move. A knight e2 check, huh?
Oh, you have to take the knight. Right. Is this so much?
It's a piece. No, because you gave a piece. Well, but you just have these two rooks. That's what the computer's arguing.
Okay.
Yeah, put this here.
Yeah. What was it boring?
But I think black actually gave up a lot of advantage with this bishop c5 move. Am I right that c5 is a better move? Yeah, c5.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So here, rook b2 apparently isn't really working, although I had a practical chance, shall I say. But g5 really isn't working because, here comes the queen, let's go. But here you have to calculate, right? Because you do have two bad boys hanging. So we have to calculate a little bit. Our nemesis, calculation. What would you play here, something pretentious?
Yeah, there's a couple of different candidates. So there's Queen h6 check,
Yep.
which seems obvious, but Knight h7, which I think was the game continuation, and then you've still got two pieces hanging, which is not ideal. So I kind of want to attack instead, just with bishop takes f7, and then if you take my bishop, I take your rook. I feel like I've got enough activity there. You can't take back because your knight is hanging. Oh, you take back with the knight.
I just want to point out that in that first line you gave with queen h6, knight h7, black has actually removed an attacker from the d5 piece here. So you actually don't have two pieces hanging after bishop g3.
Do I like this more? It seemed like at the end of like bishop takes f7, the black king is completely open.
Yeah, let's look at this line. So you said bishop takes f7. What were you playing for black here?
Take the bishop. Just see what happens.
Yeah, but here
and then
I'm not even down material, right? Take this.
Yeah, this just seems
does
nice.
It does appear to be sort of a splat as soon as one of my rooks joins the action. Go rook e1, say. This rook is threatening to, land on e5 and do some dirty things to your king. Yeah, this just looks really terrible. What's the material? I have a rook and two pawns for the piece.
Yeah.
No, it's a rook and two pawns. Or for two pieces, sorry.
That's worth it for me.
Oh yeah, that's
the king
100%
in this
worth
much
it.
of a state.
This is a total disaster. I think what the white player calculated was they were like, okay, queen g6, I win this pawn, he removes the defender, and I move the bishop, and not only do I have, did I keep my material, right? Nothing's hanging. But I can also play bishop takes f7 next move. But I think they missed black's next move, which is knight f5. And this actually wins a piece because there is an uncovered pin on this diagonal. So all of a sudden, white has not maintained his material. And this is a bit of a tricky move to find, but whenever you're going in for these like crazy attacking antics where all your pieces are hanging, you have to calculate really accurately, because if your opponent catches you by surprise, that often means, oh, I lose the game. So here,
especially in positions where the queen is getting into something like this, where there's a lot of
sorry, someone touches. You're very robotic.
Is that better?
Yeah, you're making the little weird noises. I don't know what they are.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Anyway, it's good now. What were you saying about the queen?
Any position where your queen is going to get like almost boxed in like this, like all these squares are covered. It's kind of prime for tactics. Like if this pawn wasn't here, then you could just drop back and defend the bishop. But because the queen is so cut off, it's kind of another warning signal.
Yeah, and in the game, white actually gets the piece on c5, but this knight is threatening the rook. And we come down to this simplified position where white has a pawn for the exchange. So white does not have enough here for his material. Queen e7. White gets a second pawn, but now all of a sudden the queen's on a7. And black's coming downtown, rook b2, black gets a pawn. Again, it's still a pawn for the exchange, but very active rook. We're threatening to bring the queen in or the second rook in, something like this. The knight can come back with tempo. It's just a beautiful position for black. Bishop c6.
Yeah, one of the main differences as well is that the king is pretty much safe here, the black king, which was huge in the other position. Like you have kind of equalish material, maybe down a bit, but yeah, the king was a wreck. Whereas here, no problems with the king.
Yeah, honestly, the white king is probably the one that's going to end up in trouble as soon as like a couple rooks show up on the second rank. So yeah, it just something pretentious is comparing this position that we have on the board to this position where, hello, it is a very, very big difference between the two positions. So instead, sorry, where are we? I think white just missed this knight f5 resource. That's my feeling.
Yeah, almost certainly. I do want to say that even though we're kind of ripping into the players here, they played a really accurate game given how sharp it is. Like there were mistakes, but it was really, really sharp.
No, I'm not ripping into anyone. Look, this is an easy move to miss because you're calculating and you're like, okay, queen g6, king h8. I take this, knight h7 is forced, and then all my pieces are defended, and you're happy and you stop there. And you don't push yourself to find your opponent's resources. Because it's not obvious that knight f5 is actually like threatening to win a bishop here. So I'm not ripping into anyone. I think it's so easy to miss this. But when you're going on an attack and hanging two pieces, you have to really push yourself to find everything your opponent has. Otherwise, things like this will happen. In the game, we got this, bishop c6, rook e b8, rook c1, knight f6 brings the knight back to civilization, the queen comes back to civilization, queen d6, bishop f3, queen d2. As advertised, the queen is joining the party, the queen has come downtown. Rook f1 is sort of forced, but now rook c2, and all of a sudden, these black active pieces are like causing white some serious problems. So here, white is losing the knight. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So white must go for counterplay, which he does. Queen takes c7. This is actually a very good move. His idea is he wants to get counterplay against the king, maybe try and force a perpetual after queen takes f7. So this is a very nice find. He's also hitting the rook, so the rook comes downtown. And here, white again plays very actively. Rook d1. I don't know. Can I do this? Is this something?
Can we play queen takes knight and then we're defending the knight?
Yeah, I'm trying to give perpetual.
And then we drop the knight back.
Ah, I don't have h6. How unfortunate. Do I have some of this business? Yes, you make a convincing argument. Okay, so white's move of rook d1 is an interesting move, that's for sure, because he's hanging f2. But if you take f2, Then queen takes f7, like something like this, followed by queen takes f7. I'm really not sure about.
Yeah, and I want to point out the white player had less than 2 minutes there as well.
The white player did?
Yeah.
I'm impressed. He's finding really good moves. Like rook d1 is a really threatening move, right? Because here, yeah, you've hung f2, but like f7's hanging. You have these. The rook is ready to join in the attack against the king. This looks very dangerous, or at least dangerous, perpetually dangerous, shall we say?
Yeah.
If not,
if
not more than perpetually dangerous.
Potentially, yeah.
So, I think Black made a really good decision here. They played the move rook takes c3, just offering to exchange the armada, shall we say. And the point here is, if rook takes d2, we're not going to take the queen, because then we lose our extra material. But after rook takes d2, we're going to insert a nice little in-betweener, rook b1 check. And then this is just a winning position. So the other thing is, after rook takes c3, what's happening on queen takes f7?
That was game continuation.
Oh yeah, it was the game continuation. I'm sorry. Oh yeah. So here, Black takes, king h1. This must be defended. If the knight falls, it will be perpetual. So queen b6 was played. White goes queen g6. He's starting to create some threats of like queen h6 and rook d6.
Puzzle time.
Say again.
It's puzzle time now.
It is puzzle time. So White is starting to create some counterplay concerned with these ideas, but Black found a very accurate way to end the game. So if you were Black, what would you play? This is a question for the chat. How would you play for Black in this position? I'm impressed, Something Pretentious. We've managed to keep our hour per game pace.
It's what the viewers want. Who are we to say no?
Is it?
No, it's not. It's what we want. We do what we want.
While the chat is thinking, I'm going to refill my water bottle.
Sure. I'll keep the chat entertained. Not sure how yet, but I'm sure I'll entertain. Maybe I'll just be quiet and let people think about the difficult moves. And this is a difficult one. No takers so far.
No takers. We'll give them one more minute, then we'll spoil for them. Sometimes people are just along for the ride. Don't want to think too much.
That's what we're for. Knight g8 is a suggestion.
So knight g8, you're defending the threats against your king, but you're also not really doing anything active, right?
Yeah, maybe we just take one.
I was also thinking about this move.
Really? Can I not give you a check there and then put one?
Yeah, I'll go. Take my rook.
In your rook.
Oh, pin my rook.
Oh, actually, this is just hanging.
What's hanging?
Oh, no, actually, that's me.
Well, give the check with the other rook.
Yeah.
I was mostly worried about queen g1, but I couldn't find a mate. Jesse HF has an interesting idea of rook takes f3. what is the follow-up? Because if you're just giving your exchange away, you're just giving your material away. So you should have some idea behind rook takes f3.
Maybe he's just giving an exchange. That's what he wants.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I'm greedy. I'm gonna take that. Show me.
The part of the problem is your queen is tied to the defense of this knight, so you can't really go something like queen f2 here. Queen e6.
E6.
I'm worried for you.
It's not just mate.
It's not mate, but
significant material.
Yeah, you lose material here. Because you have to block with the knight, and then this happens.
Yeah.
So,
basically mate.
I think it's time to spoil. Rook takes f3 is correct, but it's based on the idea that white has just played queen g6. His queen is unprotected on line with our queen. So there is rook takes f3, g takes f3, and then the fantastic rook h2 check. Star move, exclam here. And the point is simply king takes h2 is forced, followed by knight g4 check. We're just clearing the knight with check, giving a discovery on the queen, f takes, and queen takes g6. Now, here's an interesting question. Have you played these sorts of endgames before, Something Pretentious?
Yes, they're horrible.
Aren't they like sort of hard to win for the black side?
They can be. They can be. It really depends if white knows what they're doing. If the side with the rook knows what they're doing, because you can set up fortresses. These pawns are not doing nothing. There's potential there. The queen is only one piece. Yeah, black should be winning, and it's usually if white's careless and basically drops the rook to a fork. But even just queen versus rook is quite difficult to win against an engine.
Yeah, that's very true. I've drawn that so many times. No, but so my idea here is I just want to put like the rook on the f file and then the king on these squares. And I like see a world in which I draw this. Now, objectively it's not drawn, but I have hope for the white player here. Let's see what happens. Rook d2, queen e4, rook g2. I think this is not the right approach, unless I'm missing something. I would be playing rook f2 here.
Yeah, it's a while since I studied this endgame. There is definitely a pattern that's kind of like this.
So, I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering the way this ending works, this would be a draw if the pawns were on h2 and g3. But because...
Yeah, this motif where you give... The king comes all the way in, and you give a check when the queen is not defending, and then the king has to step back, and then you just come back with the rook and say, what are you going to do?
Well,
that's not my best explanation ever.
Part of my plan as the white side is to never move the rook off the f file.
Yeah, it's a nice little box.
So let's see, rook f2, say queen e1, king g2, king g7. Hey, knock it off. Bubba.
Just go up and down with the rook.
Yeah, like how are you winning this? I think, let's put the queen on e3. This is really not easy to win. Okay, here's an idea. I want to pin the rook to the king.
forced, but seems better than bringing the king out.
Is this a problem?
I would say no.
Well, you have to move that rook eventually.
This is what I mean about only having one attacker, whereas white has two defenders.
Yeah. I need this rook to move. How am I going to make this rook move? Let's do this again.
And in one is a question.
Well, that's what we're trying to explore. Like, is there... Oh, I've got it. Let's do this. Okay, I'll grab this bad boy. Why not? Take that bad boy off the board. I need to get my queen back here. How am I doing this?
I don't know if you can, because anytime you move off this pin, I'm just going to step back. I think this might be drawn.
I don't believe it.
I'm going to flick on the engine, I want to know.
No, the engine is could possibly get this wrong.
Yeah, it's saying -3, but it's pretty stable, even at depth 50.
This might be drawn.
So I think it might just be counting material.
So this is amusing to me. Maybe this is not a good combination. Right? Maybe this whole rook takes f3 simply simplifies to a drawn ending.
I don't see the win. Unless we missed something earlier.
I think this setup with the rook on the f file, that's the key point. The rook needs to stay on the f file to box the black king. Yeah, I have time. I'm in time. No, I just put the king.
Now it's going to -4.4 then.
Because I have to go king g1. Yeah, no, I fucked up. I admit. Let me go. Sorry. You played.
You have to go to the f file straight away.
Well, what did you play here? You played queen f6, right? Oh, you want to go rook f1.
Yeah.
Is this not... Or I guess I just don't care about the a2 pawn.
I mean, I can give you what the engine's saying, but I don't know. This seems the same.
Yeah, no, this is just...
Yeah, I think this is drawn now.
Totally. Yeah, so you go straight to the f file and just set up the blockade. That queen f6 was a nice resource, just taking over the f file. This is an interesting ending. I think it's objectively drawn after rook f1. But here, it's not so clear.
Yeah, endgames are hard. Now we go here.
Yeah, that's... Well, now I take h3.
You can't take this.
Oh. I go queen...
Maybe this is still drawn.
But you're no. Bring the king. The rook can't come to the f file. Right? If I get king f6, I'm good.
Yeah.
This just shows you have to bring the king, or you have to bring the rook immediately to the f file. Don't allow any of these shenanigans. The game continuation went queen e4. Oops, sorry. Queen e4, rook g2. This just feels like the wrong plan. Okay, rook is established on the f file. Queen d4. We get this set up. Black is struggling to win it a little bit. Oh, he got the queen to h1. That shouldn't happen. Go king g2 here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just a blunder. You can never allow the queen to land on one of the first rank squares. That's how you lose this. Okay, so white just made a mistake here, allowing this queen to h1. And now rook b2 just compounds the error because the king comes in. Can I still hold with something like this? Probably not, right?
So we give the check and then queen e3 check, I guess.
Yeah.
And now we can bring the king in.
Yeah, that's it. So unfortunately, once the queen lands on h1, well, the problem is you can't move your king. That's really the problem. You get a zugzwang with the king. Although, can I do this guy? Oh, I do the same thing. I give the check. Check. Bring the king.
Yeah, and we're loads of time.
Yeah, so allowing this queen to h1 just loses the game, unfortunately. And now the king comes in, so this is very truly lost. Yeah, once the king comes in, it's definitely no longer a fortress. But now the king has infiltrated, and the black king and queen... Oh, he forked the rook. Okay, good enough. And that is the game. A very interesting game. Some interesting middle game tactics, and then this like very strange fortress like ending. We were very happy about this combination to win material, but it actually comes back to the same thing we talked about earlier, which is evaluating the ending position. It turns out the ending position is maybe not a win, which is a really sad thing to hear after you've played your brilliant combination. So make sure after your calculation you have to evaluate that ending position. Any final comments on this game?
No, great game. Both players, very fun.
Now up next we have a terrible game between two really bad players.
I'm not even going to contest that.
The two players are, of course, Something Pretentious, who is on the stream with me, and KN960. So, Something Pretentious, first thing, why aren't you on board 1?
Because I suck. That's no offense to any board 2 or below players.
Haven't you normally been playing on board 1?
Sorry?
Don't you normally play on board 1?
I play maybe 30% of seasons on board 1 and get destroyed every game and then drop back to board 2.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize. I just thought you were always on board 1.
No, I'm not good enough to be there, but I try.
Well, this game was very interesting, and I'm happy you're here because you can give us like a lot of the personal insight on the game, which is something that we lack when we review these games because we just sort of have to guess what the players were thinking or what they missed. Whereas here, we'll know what you were thinking or what you missed, or any of that fun stuff. So let's take a look. Something Pretentious is a dirty d4 player, just like myself. Knight c3, knight f6, knight f3. Why don't you join the League of Good Chess Players and play the Queen's Gambit exchange?
I do actually play this now. I just don't remember openings very well.
So
I get confused between this and the Slav.
Did you learn this really, really recently, or did you know this when you were playing this game?
I think in this game I just got confused between Slav, where you would play knight f3.
Knight f3 is not a bad move. It's just the theoretically critical try here is known to be c takes d5. But okay, knight f3 is totally fine. White will definitely have an edge in this position. Bishop e7 and bishop f4. This is interesting. I think the main move here is bishop g5. But bishop f4 is certainly a very reasonable move. What do you think the trade-offs between the moves bishop f4 and bishop g5 are?
The reason I don't like bishop g5 in a lot of lines isn't so much this, but when the bishop and the queen can pop out, I've been burnt before by this kind of So if I end up trapping my bishop outside the chain, this kind of pressure, it's just something I should really learn theory about, but all the lines kind of mix up, and occasionally I find myself just lost.
So
I like it a bit safer here.
Let's look at that. First things first, since black hasn't moved the c pawn, we shouldn't really be worried about this stuff immediately, right? Because black would need to move the c pawn to bring the queen out. And I don't think black is really in the market for playing c6 here. This just seems like a very passive move.
Yeah, I mean, it's the top choice, isn't it, on the database? It's bishop g5, so I'm clearly not going to find anything wrong with it.
No, bishop, of course, but
my excuse is not that bad at opens.
There's also nothing wrong with bishop f4. I like this move quite a bit, to be honest, because here's how I view it. The bishop on f4, I think it's a better piece than the bishop on g5. It's on what appears to be a more active diagonal to me. It creates pressure here. For instance, I maybe start to have little knight b5 excursion ideas that black needs to think about. But the difference is I'm never threatening to take the knight, so I'm putting less pressure on the black center. So as far as I understand, when white goes bishop f4, black is supposed to play for a very quick c5. That's my understanding of this position, is black should be going c5 very, very quickly. Something like castles, e3, c5. Because white has not put pressure on the black center by threatening to take on f6.
And if we compare that to a position, this same position, bishop on g5,
you can give some problems. So bishop g5, castles, e3, c5. I take.
I lost your sound if you're talking.
I'm just waiting. What are you going to do here after I take?
Oh, right. That's black. Yeah, I see the point.
The point is just...
Okay.
I was going to take on d5 first, but...
Yeah. Okay.
And play this. And weakness, I've won a pawn. Yes, you have this. But I'm still up a pawn. This is still a weakness. Position is maybe slightly problematic for black. But this idea of bishop takes f6 is of course not possible when the bishop is on f4. So that's why we go for a quick c5. Black played a6, which I guess he was worried about a knight b5 idea. But a6 is also not such a dumb idea. What queen's pawn opening is a6 normally a part of? Well, there's a couple answers. But what do you think, something pretentious?
Chevenenko Slav.
So it does show up in the Slav, but this move to me actually screams Queen's Gambit accepted. This move is very often played in a Queen's Gambit accepted.
With a plan of b5.
So you take, you bring the bishop out, you play b5, put the bishop on b7, happy days. Yeah. But here, this is not yet a Queen's Gambit accepted. So when I see this move a6, I'm very tempted to play c takes d5. And just
say you kind of wasted.
Yeah, just say that a6 is not going to be a useful move in this position.
Because I played e3.
Yeah, you played e3, which again, not a bad move, but it just feels to me like we're not fighting for optimal advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that.
Because here, the recaptures are sort of unpleasant, I think. If black goes e takes d5, then I will very much make the argument that a6 was a wasted move. Here, I very much believe that a6 is a wasted move. In fact, I would argue it is going to strengthen my minority attack. If you take with knight takes, then I probably go bishop g3 and argue that you've given up some control of the center. So I'm also happy with this. So here I would be taking on d5. You played e3, again, not a bad move. After castles, again, I'm taking, but queen c2, and now black takes on c4, which is sort of consistent with this a6 move. So this makes a lot of sense to me. Sorry, one second. My computer is making strange noises, so I need to get rid of it.
At least it's not me making strange noises.
Oh yeah, really. You know, we're an equal opportunity strange noise employer. So bishop takes c4, b5, bishop d3. Everything is very logical here. Here, black goes knight on b to d7. You went rook d1 here. Any reason you played rook d1 instead of castling?
God, it's a long time ago since I played this now.
I think there is a reason.
I think there's any reason. Do you?
I do think there's a reason.
If I castle and you play... Oh, we've got a comment trying to discourage c5.
I agree with that comment.
I have vague recollections of this.
So, rook d1, and the point is, if c5 takes, you can no longer play the desirable recapture of knight takes c5 because, hello, got you with this one. So that's why the rook is useful on t1. We had another comment in chat. Why are we choosing rook d1 instead of rook c1? This is also an interesting idea, right? The rook comes to a semi-open file. This makes some sense, of course. But here, I think black is going c5.
Yeah. I can be very confident now in saying, oh, but you should play rook d1 to stop c5.
Yes.
Yeah, now because we're leading with the queen as well, it's just kind of awkward.
Yeah, right. So even when this knight moves, you're not really threatening to take the knight on c5 because, like something pretentious said, black is leading with the queen. So rook c1 doesn't really come with threats, shall we say. Whereas rook d1 has a very clear idea. We're preventing black from playing this optimal break. So here the game should continue with like bishop b7, rook c8, and then c5. Whereas in the meantime... Yeah?
Yeah, I think... I was considering that they could play c5 here even, or I didn't like knight d7.
Well, if they...
Bishop b7 is the normal move.
Bishop b7 certainly looks logical. Are they ever taking on f3? My instinct says no, right?
I don't usually see that.
I don't think that's a threat.
No, I'd probably just castle.
Yeah, I agree. Here's the thing, I never love c5 when I have to take with the bishop, I feel like.
Yeah, the knight's a much more annoying piece on this square, because the bishop's just taking pawns, but the knight's threatening to come in.
Because now I go like rook c1, this rook comes to d1, I'm going to play knight e4 with a discovery at some point. It just feels very pleasant for white. But what was interesting was in the game, knight d7, rook d1, So rook d1 was played with the idea of discouraging c5, and then c5 happened anyway. And I have to say, I think this is just a mistake, because after d takes c5, black is forced to play bishop takes c5, and all of a sudden, his pieces lack some coordination, right? This bishop, it's not clear what it's doing on the c5 square. I mean, there's this pawn chain locking him out. The knight on d7 is not very good. So, right away there, I think black's army becomes slightly uncoordinated. Here we had castles, queen b6, and knight e5. What's the idea here with knight e5?
Oh, you're going to keep asking me these questions, aren't you? And I'm not going to be able to remember. I think I was... What's I trying to do?
You have a tactical idea.
There are some kind of half threats with...
No, there are full threats. Trust me.
What, you can't play... Wait, there are full threats?
You have full threats.
I can't remember this game at all. Takes, and then... So am I taking a knight?
Yeah, so if black plays...
Oh, we've got the attacks here.
If black plays a nothing burger, you know, this, of course, this is a ridiculous move. But white has two move orders that work here. You can take here, and then take here. Or you can do what Jesse said, which is you can start with this move as well. These are both fine, and then take here. So you have a threat of knight takes d7, which is...
I'm glad you reminded me.
Well, here's the thing. It's a little bit hard to meet this threat. Just because of how uncoordinated the black pieces are. Like, both these pieces don't do anything. This piece is not doing anything. The rooks are not doing anything. So, black has a hard time meeting this threat. For instance, if knight takes e5, bishop takes e5, now I have the same threat with bishop takes f6. Right? All of a sudden this is kind of falling apart. What do you play here?
You sack on e3.
No. Maybe.
Well, if it gives a chance to go wrong, but I think we just take it.
Yeah, you take there, right? And then black is losing. Yeah, so knight e5, this is a good move, and it's very hard to meet. The black player went g6, just shoring up this point. But now the dark squares have become very weak. So you immediately target the dark squares. This makes very sense. This makes a lot of sense. Knight e4 makes very sense. Much sense. Very wow. Knight e4 is a nice move. And again, it's a little hard to take this, because if you take this, bishop takes e4, this knight on d7 is hanging, the rook on a8 is hanging, so yeah, not easy to play for the black player already. It's very clear the opening has gone extremely badly for him, and it has to do with breaking c5 when you're not ready to break c5. So knight e4, black went bishop b7, but now things really do start to fall apart. So I'll throw this one to the chat. What would you play as white here?
I remember being in this position, and I was up a considerable amount of time. So I had half an hour left, and black had 11 minutes, 12 minutes.
Ooh.
And they'd taken their time, and
This is move 14. How do you spend 33 minutes?
I don't know, but it baited me a little bit into sort of trying to pressure them on the clock, instead of, I still took my time, but I should probably have taken more time. And this is quite a sharp position, not compared to the last game maybe, but there are still a couple of different options.
So
Of course, there's one that was better that I missed.
that's interesting. That's really not what I considered. So we had two suggestions. Knight takes d7. Black goes knight takes d7. I don't see exactly what you're getting here. You can win the bishop pair. That's very true. And white will definitely be better there. But I don't see like a forced win here. Jesse had a suggestion which was knight takes f6 followed by queen takes c5, which unfortunately doesn't work because the knight, when it went to f6, has guarded the d7 square. I assume this was your idea, was to give a fork here. I don't really know how that works.
You sacrificed your queen there. How is that good?
Yeah, I don't know. He said never mind afterwards, so he realized that he made a mistake. This knight takes f6 is correct. But then we just follow this up with a simple but powerful move, which is the move bishop g5. And the knight is hanging, but unfortunately for black, this knight has a very key responsibility to guard the d7 square. And black simply has no defense to the threat of bishop takes f6, followed by knight d7. For instance, if you guard the knight this way, bishop takes f6, knight d7.
And actually, I did look at this in the game, and I thought after this that black had this move here, because I'd forgotten that the bishop was not here anymore. So I thought we were getting a mate attack and a fork. And even here, the knight can just take...
Yeah, the knight can take f6, you can play queen takes c6, you can play... Well, okay, you can't play knight takes f8, but you can play queen takes c6 followed by knight takes f8.
If you imagine that this bishop is over here, then this is just nothing really.
Yes. I see what you're saying.
So, I looked at it, but yeah, miscalculated.
For sure. The other point is, if queen d8, which looks kind of logical, you're trying to withdraw the queen from the forking square, well, there's a couple problems with this one. Namely, you hung your bishop. But even if you didn't hung your bishop, you hung the same fork. It didn't help you. So, yeah, this bishop g5 move is very strong, and it's just winning for white. White is winning material. Instead, something pretentious went with bishop h6, which is another way to target the dark squares, but unfortunately it doesn't come with the same power that bishop g5 does. Black went rook fe8, and here you probably spent some time calculating this, right?
Yeah, I think this was my idea when I played bishop a6.
Okay,
h6 rather.
So you calculated this before you played bishop h6?
I think so. I really can't remember, but I think so.
So here, something pretentious played, he must have calculated, and he played knight takes g6. And I agree that this is in the spirit of the position, because, we have all these pieces over by the black king, right? We have 5 pieces participating in the attack, and it doesn't look like black has very many pieces defending his king. So I would definitely be looking for stuff like knight takes g6. However, concretely, it just doesn't work. Black takes, white takes. Let me ask, what did you analyze here?
Guess what I analyzed.
I can take a guess. You analyze h takes g6.
I did indeed.
Which, of course, just loses on the spot. It's just, mate in 2. What you gonna do? So, if you realize that h takes g6 is mate in 2, maybe you're gonna ask yourself, what if black doesn't play h takes g6? What if black, for instance, guards his h-pawn? What are you doing? Cat, stop. My cat is crazy. Bub, you gotta stop tearing my chair up. You're crazy, bub. Go away. Go play with your sister. One of my good friends at the chess club. His name is Majur, and he's a national master. And he has a favorite saying, chess is not checkers. Which means you're not obligated to capture anything. Right? So after bishop takes g6, chess is not checkers. Black is not obligated to take this piece. Especially because he already has a piece in the pocket. You already sacked a knight. So he doesn't need the second piece. He can just move out of the way. And it's a little bit unclear how your attack is continuing here.
Yeah. That quote was distracting me. I think it's from The Wire or something. I definitely missed this. And actually on my next move, I made it worse by doing the same thing again. I viewed all of the options.
Yeah, so it goes back to what we were talking about. Like, when you're giving material, you have to look at all your opponent resources. And that includes not accepting sacrifice material. So here it seems like we didn't consider all opponents' resources, and all of a sudden we've taken a pretty good position and turned it into a somewhat suspicious position / lost position, especially after bishop takes h7. Really insisting on sacrificing this second piece. What did you analyze here?
I'll ask the same thing again. Guess what I analyzed?
You analyzed rook takes h7.
It's not the move that was played.
So, Something Pretentious only analyzed this move, and he had this point that after queen g6, I'm, again, am I giving mate this time? I'm not giving mate this time, but
But I've won a piece back.
You won the piece back. The black king is extremely weak. You'll try and find some way to involve the rooks, and you have serious compensation here. But of course, this was not the only possible move. Black also has the move knight takes h7. And then, after queen g6, king h8, there's no knight to take on f6, so you're not even getting the piece back. So, after this, we're down 2 pieces. We have 3 pawns. The black king isn't really that unsafe, so very clearly we are lost here. We just don't have enough for our 2 pieces. You came up with an interesting one, which was b4. What's this idea?
And I explained this to you a couple of weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago. And I'm trying to remember why I did it. Oh man.
I think I know what your idea is. I'm not 100%. But
I should be able to remember. Wait, okay, so I want to play this, and then I wanted to swing my rook up. That's what it was. Okay.
Yes, very good.
Yeah. So I want to get my rook to d4, so I want to deflect the bishop.
Yeah, so b4 is actually very creative. Something Pretentious realizes the queen and bishop simply are not enough to give mate. So he wants to involve the rook. The only way the rook gets involved is through the d4 square. And so b4 is very interesting. He wants to involve the rook. Black played e5, which, okay, he's giving some material back. He has enough material, that's for sure. I'm a caveman. I'm taking this. Show me.
Yeah, so there was another idea that was missed where... what was it? I think it was this.
Yeah, so here, the point of this move, bishop c3, is just to clamp down on the g7 square.
Oh, I just remembered the other idea. I knew that he wanted to play e5, and his queen was now undefended.
Okay, interesting.
That was my other idea of b4.
But unfortunately, just concretely, this isn't enough, right? Because here, I assume you go rook g4, but after rook g4, you haven't even created a threat.
Yeah, so if not this bishop move, say something bad again, then we have ideas.
And then I do this anyway. And you still don't have a threat. Or, I guard the g7 square any other way.
I can't remember what I was thinking.
Unfortunately, I think it's not working, but I also think your position is lost anyway, so b4 is probably a good, practical, let's get some pieces in the action and see what happens. Because if your rook's not getting involved, well, then you definitely lose. So you might as well at least get the rook involved while you're losing. So I like this move. It shows a lot of creativity. And it shows about thinking about how to get all the pieces involved in the game. So I think this is a good move. Again, black played e5, which is not necessary, but okay, he has enough material so he can give the piece back. Takes. Rook e6. Maybe missing this move, rook d6. Perhaps he assumed he was winning the bishop here, because the bishop is trapped if you don't have this rook d6 move. Okay, takes, king f7.
Yeah, and the bishop's still trapped.
The bishop is still trapped, but now you have a pawn on d6. That's a different animal. And I like this move a lot, f4. This is a very strong move. The point of f4 is, if black takes on f4, then all of a sudden the bishop is no longer trapped. And we have 3 pawns for the piece and an ending. Maybe we're not super worse here. But if he plays king g6 like in the game, I go f takes e5, and hello pawns. So something pretentious is creating chances in a bad position, which I think is a really good skill to have. Just continuing to fight for ideas, even when his position is objectively lost. He's creating ideas, and he's forcing his opponent to think about things instead of just giving up and doing whatever. I really like this f4 move. I think it's really, really strong. King g6, f takes e5, king takes h6, and e6. How are you feeling at this point in the game?
So, most of my feelings were actually at this point. How much time did I spend? Well, not that much. I remember this feeling like a long time. This decision of whether I was gonna play something like this and just try and save the bishop, or if I was just gonna go for it. And my opponent had 2 minutes at this stage, and I kind of calculated just enough to think, oh, at least it's complicated, and just went for it, because I was playing it kind of like a blitz game. At least there's chances.
Yep.
It's probably bad, but at least it'll be fun.
Yeah, I think it comes back to that point of evaluation, right? Where if you play something like e4 here, I'd probably just go rook d8. And yeah, you saved your bishop, but the resulting position is just awful. I assume you're going rook d1 here?
I can't honestly remember.
Hey, it makes sense. You want to guard your pawn.
Yeah. Ever since b4, I was just kind of trying to throw stuff.
Yeah, but
and see what happens.
Here, this is just very clearly an atrocious position for the white side. Black has all his pieces involved. White doesn't have any threats. He only has 2 pawns for the piece. Black is just very simply winning in this position. Whereas in the position you put on the board, pretty much by force, yeah, black has 2 pieces, but black has to be worried. He has to think about what's he gonna do with these pawns. So he started with the move king g6. It's a little bit tricky, right? He can't put the rook in front of either pawn, I don't think. Say rook e8, I just go d7. That's a whoops.
Yeah, you could maybe go here.
But then I get my piece back, I'm happy.
Lost.
Well, I just take the rook, right? If you put the rook in front of the other pawn, I can go e7, I think. Because you don't have knight f6 or anything.
Yeah, this is what.
So, after e6, it's like not clear how black is stopping these pawns. I think he plays a very good move, which is king g6. And he's just preparing to bring his knight in for the defense of the pawns. And if black can sack one piece for both pawns, he'll be very happy. All he wants to do is sack one piece for both pawns. Oh, by the way, what about this one?
Just go here. Then you go behind.
I can't. You have d7.
Yeah. I don't even look this.
Do I have this move?
No.
Oh god. Yeah, I don't. You're right. I agree with that. Okay,
I think this might have been the best try. Yeah, bishop c6 has just been said in chat. And I think I even saw this and kind of thought, well, if he finds it, he finds it.
Well, sorry, what's the idea here?
It's kind of stalling my pawns.
But say I play d7?
Well, now you can go here. Oh no, now you push the other pawn, but now you could just sack for it.
Well, okay, but you didn't get both pawns here.
But I will.
And I don't have rook e7. Okay. Say I play this one?
About this.
And I don't have e7. Yeah, okay. Let me try one last thing. Rook f7. That one. Okay, this was my idea. No, but your knight is mispositioned all of a sudden.
Is it?
Oh. Oh.
You might win an extra pawn.
Gotcha.
Okay, well, my opponent had 2 minutes left, so...
Yeah, you can figure it out on in the meantime. But they played king g6, which is totally reasonable. They're just trying. I assume they're just trying to bring the knight back to f6, because the king certainly is not crossing the divide. You played d7, and now knight f6 appears to stop the pawns. Right, because e7 is met with knight takes d7.
I just go behind it now, though.
Here?
Yeah. Oh, but then the king can come in. No, you have to block.
Well, if I go rook d8, e7, what's happening there? Ah, I have this.
I go here.
do? Oh, making my brain hurt. Okay. Do I have the other one?
I'm pretty sure that it was not lost until like right at the very end as well.
Yeah, but this is complicated. I'm having trouble refuting this. Maybe I just take it.
Okay, then I'll take with the rook.
Okay, but I'm not worried about taking with the rook. I don't think.
Okay, yeah, that's better. Okay, I'll take the pawn then.
And here,
but then you can blockade and win it.
Yeah, here I think I'm doing all right. I'm not sure I'm winning. I'll just move my bishop. Yeah, look,
sure.
I think you have drawing chances here. But yeah, there is pressure for sure. So, knight f6 made a lot of sense, but the move played really made no sense to me. I guess, okay, he had 55 seconds at the start of this move, but 55 seconds is enough seconds for me to discard the move bishop d5. Because I have to ask myself, after I make my move, what move is my opponent making? Well, it's pretty clear to me what move white is making after bishop d5. They're playing e7. And you don't stop those pawns. You just don't.
Yeah. So when bishop d5 was played, they had 2 seconds left because they had 47 seconds left.
Yeah, I see that. But like even still, it's like I know this move loses. It's like very clear. I can see that this move loses in 2 seconds. I need to make another move.
Yeah.
Right? Even if I'm not sure of what's happening after knight f6, I just play it. Because bishop d5 loses. And like other moves, like rook d8 loses. I know these moves lose. So I have to play knight f6, and I'll figure out whether or not that loses. But that doesn't lose immediately. And that's all I care about when I have 2 seconds left. I just have to play knight f6. Whereas after bishop d5, e7, black just resigned because there's nothing to do. White's making a queen. So, nice swindle.
Thank you very much.
Any final comments on this game?
I need to study openings more and not be an idiot with thinking I'm amazing and playing stupid sacrifices. So sometimes it works, but
key takeaways, right? Analyze all your opponent's resources, including not accepting the sacrifice, and then being really objective, right? If you're up 2 pieces and they're offering you a pawn, if you can take the pawn, take the pawn. There's no threat there. So making sure you're calculating even in difficult positions.
Oh, I have one more takeaway as well.
Yeah, what was your other takeaway?
This in this game. Just because you're up on time doesn't mean you should play faster and try and pressure your opponent on the clock. I definitely did that.
For sure. Because you have more time, you should use that time to do better calculations than your opponent. That's what your extra time is for. Instead of playing fast and rushing them, you want to calculate more and use more time so that your calculations are better than your opponent's. That's the whole point of having extra time. Before we move on to our last game, I need to very quickly use the restroom. Will you keep our people entertained?
My best. Does anyone in the chat have any comments for me? Telling me to get good or similar? I'm actually curious to see where the position went from winning for black or better for black to losing. Get good, thank you. Thank you, Tina. I will do my best. I have my league game tonight, so hopefully I can get good before then. Thank you, RSVP. Yeah, in some ways I'm proud of the game, in some ways I'm not, because I shouldn't really have got to that point where I was just kind of throwing everything. But if you stir up some trouble and win, then who's to say? So the correct defense was actually something Quirk mentioned in our analysis. And apparently this is not good. Because of this move, and so the knight's coming in. That is quite matey. So we need to create a bit of space. If I just push, it's embarrassing that we missed this, but there you go. Nice little. Was that the actual position that Quirk was looking at when he played Rook G8? Yeah, so he played Rook G6 instead of, just sneaky. But when you've only got sort of 3 minutes left, if you can come back to before the step sacrifice, sure. Which position exactly? Do you have a question?
I'm back. I overheard you saying you're embarrassed for us because we missed something, which is a classic. What did we miss?
Oh yeah. So instead of he played Rook G6, where is it? Rook G6. Here he played Rook G6. Mm-hmm. Instead, there's this with mate in one threat.
Oh. That's not so simple. Oh.
Yeah,
you're making loud noises. Oh my god. Whew. What is that? That's so strange. No, now you're good again. I don't know what that is.
It sounds kind of like, from the echo, it sounds kind of like when a phone interferes with a radio signal.
Yeah, I don't know. Buffer and Run saying it's the NSA. I agree with that.
Yes, they are very interested in our chess.
Yeah, this is
cutting edge.
I like this move knight g5 because it's not super obvious because like all your attention is on the pawns and how can I stop the pawns. But all of a sudden you're actually creating your own threats as black, which is usually more powerful than trying to stop your opponent's threats. I really like this. Okay, shall we move to our last final game?
We shall, and this one is even more complicated.
This is the game Love Loss versus Assassin in White. A very interesting game. They play e4, which we are both masters in. We know all about e4 and are opening theoreticians. So we get an Italian game. Bishop g5, I think, is a little rare here. I think most players are playing like c3 in this position. If my understanding of the Italian is anything, then people are playing c3, castling, maybe looking to expand with b4, or bringing the bishop. Yeah, knight g1, good move.
So we know things about the Italian game.
Yeah, right. We were kids once. I guess kids play two knights, not Italian, but whatever. So bishop g5 is a little bit rare. h6, bishop h4. And here, Assassin White just dropped back with bishop e7, which is definitely interesting to me. It's not the first move that would come to my head at all. Is there some problem if I play d6?
So, you do something like this and put some pressure on, and now you can't drop back.
Yeah, so knight c3 is clearly the main threat, if you will.
There is g5.
That might get sacked on though. It won't get sacked on if you're not castled. But I am forcing you to play g5.
Oh, I'm doing it again in here. Sorry.
No, it's alright. Yeah, I mean, this is playable, but you did play g5. I don't think you can sack this, right?
Just something like... we had a position similar to this in the last analysis, I think.
Yeah, but I don't think knight d5 was a threat in the last analysis. This one,
yeah, I don't know. I think it's probably...
This one looks a little bit less comfortable to me. I'm getting an exchange here. I'm gonna have 2 pawns and a rook for 2 pieces here. I would take white. Oh, hold on. I gotcha. I gotcha good. I don't gotcha. It doesn't work. I lied. See, no, I didn't lie. I got you good.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
And if I take it, yeah, but then
I got
you
you.
got material.
No,
it's equal.
I have.
I'm up a point.
What the fuck? How did that happen? Oh, because you won 2 pawns when you sacked the knight. I sort of forgot about that. I was like, woo, I'm winning a pawn here. But unfortunately... Wait, how am I giving a piece?
I take it.
I thought I was equal...
You're sacking a piece.
Yeah, I thought I was equal on the
But
pieces. I messed up. This is bad. Alright, I didn't get you. That's fine. I accept this. Yeah, I think this is really uncomfortable.
There were many complicated reasons.
I think this is super duper uncomfortable. I think the best move here might be this. Or maybe that next move, I don't know. Yeah, actually I'll do that next move, like rook g6. Well, I won't play rook g6. I'll play some other move, like bishop d7, knight d5, take. Ah, but I'm screwing myself over. I can't take this.
This doesn't seem good.
Yeah, no. Okay, no. Okay, here's the move. I play bishop e... does that work? This might be the move. This might be the one.
Sure.
Right? Because what does white play here?
I don't know. It's a position. Right?
I think, yeah, I have to take it.
You can take it.
I have to.
Okay.
Queen e7. Queen f3. Rook g6. I want to get h5 in somehow, but I need to guard this bishop.
Yeah.
Which is not so easy to do. But you're pinned for forever. It's like really gross.
Something like this.
Ooh, that's a move. That's... I wish you wouldn't. Okay, that makes my rook h3 look really stupid. Let me take this. I didn't like what you did there.
Okay. I just unpin. Why am I pinned?
You have a square. Yeah, okay, it looks like black holds, but it looks very tenuous.
I like how we're following the game continuation.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Let's go back. Fair. Bishop h4, bishop e7 is interesting. I wonder if you can play d6. It looks a little bit sketchy, I have to say. It definitely looks like there might be some problems for black in that line. a3 is interesting. What's the idea behind it?
And we can't even criticize it. Maybe you're just giving the white bishop a square.
Is he worried about knight a5? He can't be yet.
I honestly have no idea, and I don't feel like I can criticize my end.
Well, I'm just trying to understand, because he's not playing this for no reason. He clearly has some idea.
We need him on stream.
Yeah, really.
That's the only thing I can think of, is to preserve that light square bishop, because you're not really going to play b4, right?
Maybe he, is he worried about some d5?
Yeah, because you can take with the knight, and then you're hitting the bishop on h4.
Yeah, but then the bishop trades itself. And then the c knight takes. Maybe he wants to retreat after d5. Maybe that's his idea. I'm not sure. I'm not totally sure what this is. But okay, d6, knight c3. And knight c3 looks very logical. It develops a piece to a very nice square. But after this move, black found a really creative continuation. So after knight c3, I'll throw this one to the chat. This one's a bit tricky. What would you play for black here? Hey,
yeah, this one gets crazy.
Come here, bub. Castles absolutely is a normal continuation. However, black was feeling a little more adventurous.
It's actually it's a fairly common motif, but this one's more complicated than normal.
Brund asking,
e4 work.
That's an important question. And I have to say, I hate calculating these sequences. Because at every move, you have to ask yourself, what happens if white continues the desperado? What happens if white takes back my piece? Or what happens if white does something entirely different? It's like every move there's a bunch of things to consider. So I hate calculating these desperado sacrifices.
Yeah, it's like a fractal of calculation. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it goes on
every single time there's like 3 different options.
My cat is attacking my leg. Why are you doing this, cat? Anyway, Assassin and White played knight takes e4. Absolutely. And it turns out it works out fairly well for black. So first things first, here white cannot simply take back on e4 because the bishop on h4 is hanging. So white is obligated to play bishop takes e7. And of course, if black were to simply take back on e7, this would be a piece. So this is not his idea. This is what we call the desperado tactic, where the knight sacrifices itself and keeps sacrificing itself over and over and over again. Again, if white were to take this piece, then queen takes e7, and black has won a pawn. So white is obligated to continue the desperado. White has taken a queen, black must take the queen. And now we start to have options here. White can continue to play chicken with the move bishop takes c7, continuing the chain of desperados. Or, oh, it looks like stream is down. 1 second.
No.
Oh, we're back. Just a little glitch in the system. My apologies. So white can continue to play chicken with bishop takes c7, or white can recapture here. But again, if white recaptures, this is just a pawn. So white takes on c7. Now, this piece is untouchable, which means black must find something to take, which he does on b2. White takes d6. Black takes c4. And white has nothing more to take, so he finally must take this knight back. And this is all pretty forced. And what's crazy is when the dust settles, material is equal. Right? 6 pawns, 6 pawns. But black has inflicted very serious structural damage to the white side. And what's even more impressive is black had to see this entire thing before he played knight takes e4. You have to calculate the entire line. Otherwise, you could just lose the game if you don't calculate the whole thing. So this was a very strong calculation from Assassin White, realizing that after knight takes e4, he has a full desperado chain, just taking everything along the way, and there's nothing in between that will interrupt this. And we arrive at this position where black is clearly better.
Yeah, and they spent about, wait, let me just get back to the point. They spent about 8 or 9 minutes calculating, and then they had another pause here for about 5 minutes.
That's an interesting place to pause, right? Because I think knight takes b2 is an only move.
I think there was, I remember looking in the game chat, I watched this game live, and there was some ridiculous line with this.
But can't I just take d1 here and be totally fine?
I think it was this. I would have to, I can try and find the game and see what was said. But yeah, there was something to calculate.
I just don't see, like, this doesn't seem like white or black should have any advantage.
Okay, maybe it wasn't that move. There was something.
Maybe. I don't.
I'll try and find the comment. But please continue.
Yeah, I'm not sure what was being calculated here. It seems to me like knight b2 is an only move, but I'm probably missing something. These players are very strong. So we arrive at this point after the Desperado. And what I was really impressed by this game is Lovelace does a really good job of stirring the pot when he has a bad position, much like something Pretentious did last game. Lovelace makes sure that he's not going easy on Assassin White. He's creating complications the entire way. So f6 was played, just cementing this e5 pawn that was under attack. Castles, bishop g4. Knight d2, the knight was sort of shut out of the game, and we don't want to allow black to ruin the structure. The knight will come to a nice square on e4 or something. Who is speaking? I am Quirked. With me is Something Pretentious, and we are doing a game review for the previous season of the Lichess 45 League. Pleasure to have you, Jay Carmody. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I found the move, sorry.
Yeah, you show me.
So it was this, giving the bishop a square.
Oh, he's worried. Well, so that's interesting. Shouldn't we calculate that after we?
Trapped.
Shouldn't we calculate that after knight takes b2 though?
No, because now if here, now you're stuck. This knight is trapped.
Okay, but what else are you playing? Oh, you're saying maybe you play king d7 if the knight ends up trapped.
Maybe, yeah, better to lose a pawn than a piece.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, that's interesting. And... Huh. I guess a6 probably... Well, what about a6?
Well, then we can just trade.
Okay, but I have the a4
And
square.
come back and this... Oh, yeah.
So you have to play a4 here, I think.
Yes.
But all of a sudden...
Good.
No, but I have this.
And then you're going to get the rook here.
Yeah. Although, I will say the knight is kind of permanently trapped.
Yeah.
Well, how are you winning this? Okay, that's clever. I'm hanging this with check. Yeah, okay. This is not the way.
So that's exactly why there was some more thought there.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. That's I certainly missed this idea. Okay, there's this is what I'm talking about with these desperados. This is an example of white doing something entirely different that you have to consider. I missed this idea. It's a very strong idea. Bishop a4. Can't you just take on d6? We never gave you time.
Oh, you could take on d6 now.
Yeah, but then the knight cuts out. But this is a better... No, you lose e5. This is terrible. So a6 is just a bad move for multiple reasons. Okay, you can't play a6. You probably have to play king e7, maybe?
But now we can just take and play a4.
Yeah, okay, let me play king d7.
So, starting to understand why...
yeah, this is worrying, I agree. This is something to worry about. Okay, complicated idea, but Lovelace ended up not going for it. Did he calculate here? He only spent 2 minutes, so maybe he didn't consider it. Well, 2 minutes before taking on d6...
Probably enough in Lovelace time.
Yeah, he probably considered bishop b5. I don't know exactly what's wrong with it, but, two strong players are saying it doesn't work, so I'm going to be inclined to agree with them. F6, castles, bishop d4, knight d2. And here, assassin and white queenside castles. Which, it looks extremely dangerous, right? This bishop is sort of cutting you from safety. But the problem is, you're never kingside castling. I do wonder if maybe king f7 was a good move.
You could just start with rook d8, maybe?
Why do I need to play that?
Just to hit the bishop.
He's always playing c5 though, right?
And then b6.
Knight c4.
Yeah.
You don't win anything there. I guess, so you're saying you think he queenside castle because he wanted to pressure the piece?
Yeah, I assume so.
I worry about this
I can't imagine
king.
it was for safety.
I feel like king f7, the king is very safe, and I'll play against the structure.
Are you worried about the b file at all?
I go b...
Maybe it's...
Oh, and you're saying you're going to break it down with c5? That's not...
Yeah, maybe it's nice to have the king defending it.
You know, that's a very valid point, actually. I was underappreciating how problematic the issues are going to be on the b file. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe the king needs to be on c8, even if it's unsafe. Okay, fair. c5 played, makes a lot of sense. Here...
And I just want to point out that this does not work.
To f5, right?
Yeah, well, at least I assume it doesn't work. But yeah, that was... Because that was my initial thought, is, oh no, there's two pieces lined up, but one of them's a knight, and this is quite a common motif.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can just be chosen. Continue.
c5 makes a lot of sense, though. We're just really cementing this piece on a powerful square. And if black goes b6, I think just knight c4 as mentioned earlier, and b6 is not really a move that black was interested in playing because black has weakened where his king position. So c5, knight d4 was played, just improving the knight, putting on a very powerful central square. And here I really like what Lovelace is doing. From this point on, he's constantly focused on generating his own play. He's not worried about what black is doing. So he starts with rook on a to b1. I think this is a really good move. I feel like a weaker player would probably play something like c3. Well, maybe not c3 because of this.
A much weaker player.
Yeah. Well, okay, maybe there's just no good way to guard the c pawn on second thought. Because you can't put a rook on c1 due to the same badness. And of course, you really don't want to be playing a move like rook a2.
You could maybe play c4, but then that knight's there forever.
Yeah,
which I suppose it is anyway.
Yeah, but again, this it's about generating your own play. Also, do I have something like this? No, I don't. Well, it doesn't matter. And Lovelace doesn't really care about this pawn. It's a doubled pawn. It's on c2. He cares probably a lot more about the c5 pawn, which is gaining space and putting pressure on the black position. And he's willing to give the pawn, which really, quite frankly, is quite bad, in order to advance his threats, which is rook a b1. He's going to attack. Black has put his king on the queen side, so he's going to put pressure on the queen side and try and generate play for himself. Assassin and white took on c2, which is, I guess, principled. You don't have to take this, though. Although, if you're not taking this, what are you playing? Rook h8?
Like bishop e2. Bishop e2 is just going to help white develop.
Yeah.
What was your suggestion?
Something like this with the idea of pushing the kingside pawns.
Yeah, or maybe bishop f5.
To go bishop takes c2?
Yeah.
I'm not convinced I really want that.
I don't know if it's any better.
Yeah. I want my rooks to be involved in the game as black. I feel like my rooks are like very shut out of the game by this bishop on d6. Whereas the white rooks are very involved in the game.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's almost like this is a high-level game.
Yeah, well, I think this just shows that, black won a pawn, but Lovelace is making the position difficult for black to play. Black has to figure out how he's going to activate his rooks. So he wins a pawn, but this is not the whole story. Here I love what Lovelace played. I think this is just an excellent move. And it's reminiscent back to your game. Lovelace played f4. I think this is just a great move. This rook is beautiful on an open file. This bishop is cemented, cutting open the position. This knight, okay, the knight will eventually be improved to c4 or e4. Who's not doing anything? This guy. Let's get this guy in the game. f4, I think, just makes a lot of sense. I'm threatening to win a pawn here on e5. Actually, am I really threatening that? Sort of.
Kind of, but also threatening to get the rook into f7.
Exactly, right? So black has to consider how he wants to deal with these threats that I'm creating by just activating all of my pieces. I think this is a great move. Just putting pressure, making black make decisions. Like, is black going to take this? I feel like this is probably not a good decision. Where does this bishop go? I don't don't know where this bishop goes. D7, right?
Maybe you can drop it back to D7 and then reroute it to C6. The pawn? Is that trapped?
I don't really want the pawn.
But now bishop C6.
But also maybe I did trap the knight on accident.
Why not rook b4? So we're playing that now. Yeah.
Rook b4. Well, rook b4 earlier, the knight was guarding it, so that's why I was playing rook b2. I had to kick the knight off this square in order to go rook b4. I want to play rook b4, I agree, but I have to kick this knight off the square. Here, I really want to go knight c4, but I guess I go knight f3, with the idea of putting the knight here. I think I would be worried to have this position as black, I'll be honest. I would definitely be worried as black.
Yeah, this looks pretty good.
Because if you have to take this, all of a sudden, you're going to have some big time problems defending over here. Oh, I just want to show a sample line. Gotcha!
Can I take that?
Sure.
No. Can I take the bishop?
Oh shit, you can take a bishop. I didn't get you. I fucked up.
Oh, it's maybe. You take this.
No, take the rook, take the rook. I win a rook.
Sorry?
I win a rook.
Oh yeah, okay. I was trying to throw in both the knight and the rook, but yeah, we can just win straight away.
So you can't take c6 there, but you can play something else. But what is that something else? I mean, that's a suspicious one.
Or we could get mated instead.
Yeah.
Oh no, not quite mated.
No, I play bad. I play bad. The check is bad. Just take this.
We could do that, or we could get here.
Oh, does that work? I think it doesn't, because I think the rooks get traded.
Ooh, that's annoying. Yeah, okay.
I don't think this works.
Anyway.
I hung a bishop, but I can just go back here and start to like slowly threaten c6. Also, your knight is still the most ridiculous piece the world has ever seen.
Yeah,
also,
this does genuinely trap it.
Yeah, okay. Let me do that, right? That's
now
a good...
the bishop's gone.
What?
Now that the bishop is gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise you have this.
So, this is just...
Well, actually you would have had to threaten with this rook.
This is just an example of what happens when black takes on f4. It looks like white gets way too much activity. So black instead played knight e3, which is probably a better move. Rook fe1. There's probably a case to be made for this move as well. And then
you want to play c6?
Yeah, I want to play c6 at some point, but I have to move my bishop first, as we've learned. I don't know exactly what's happening here. I think the point behind rook fe1 is you're forcing black to make a decision with this knight. Black takes this first. If black simply moves the knight, then he's losing something here on e5. So he inserts e takes f4. Bishop takes f4. Knight d5. Bishop d6. And yeah, black's up a pawn, but again, there's still pressure. Stuff like knight c4 is coming. You have to be worried about the rook landing on e7. Black immediately neutralizes that. And now knight c4. And here black got a little frisky with the move bishop e2. Let me ask you, would you trade rooks here?
I don't think so. Because you're... think you might run into more trouble if you trade.
I agree with that assessment. I think trading is a bad idea.
My general instinct with this kind of position is not to trade rooms, because then you would be giving up the open file. I don't know if this position it's exactly right, but that's my instinct, yeah.
The other point about leaving this open is you make it hard for white to like activate down the B file. Because, you know, white wants to play something like, you know, say I make a nothing. White would love to play something like rook b2, rook b1. But of course that's going to get slapped by rook takes e1. So, black finds a really interesting resource, which is bishop e2. And the point of this is simply to reroute the bishop to the a6 square, where it's guarding the b7 pawn. Because this is like the main weakness in black's position. And white really needs to cement this point, especially after knight a5, which I think was white's main idea behind knight c4. Black goes bishop a6 and guards this point. And here things start to go a little crazy. Rook e c1, rook e2, bishop g3. As we've learned, what's the point behind bishop g3?
So it doesn't hang when you play d6.
Yeah, I just want to play c6 and slam things open. But, so white is getting a lot of play against the black king. And I think for a lot of lower rated players, could c6 have been played anyway? I don't think so. I'm greedy, I take. Ooh.
Double check.
Yeah, I lose, right?
You should remove that, yeah.
But c6, I go b6. You got two boys hanging?
Yeah, just knight b7 takes, just king takes.
Yeah, I just take the pawn, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think this works.
Yeah, I think you have too much stuff hanging here. And we'll see that this is different after bishop g3. So I think a lot of lower rated players would try to react to this threat of c6. I don't know how you react to this threat though. Like, can you really prepare for this threat?
Can you play something like
Knight e7, I guess?
Yeah, knight c7 is what I was thinking.
Knight c7. Does that prepare for that threat?
Can,
oh, I see.
then you can play b6.
Huh.
And you're kind of preparing to double as well on the second rank. English is hard.
Second file rank.
Second file rank, yes.
This is complicated.
Does this count? I think so. Okay, I'm here from Assassin in White. Good. You can help explain.
Well, so, but there I can go knight b... Oh, sorry. There I can go knight b7, right? Because your knight on c7 is going to hang if you take this.
Ooh, yeah, take twice. I missed that.
But do I care, right?
We double, yeah.
I have this.
Maybe second one.
Go to b8, right?
b8, yeah.
This is messy.
Knight. Oh no, that just hangs.
Yeah, I had the same button. Knight c7. What's the point? We were just demonstrating how I feel like in a position like this, a lower rated player might see the threat of c6 and try and react to the threat of c6. Try and prevent c6 somehow. But Assassin and White played knight e3, which is much stronger, going on the offensive rather than the defensive. He says knight e3 is atrocious. I'm not sure I agree with this. This looks very natural. Right, knight e3, you're threatening rook takes g2. And now c6, b6. White doesn't really have anything here. Ooh, I have an idea. What if I prevent b6 with a lot of force?
Okay, I'll take it. Show me. And then you've got the mate threat. Yeah, that's pretty strong. Can I take it?
Sure, you can take it, but don't you lose? Oh, you're going there. Somehow I missed this square exists. You don't lose on the spot, but you're also not mating me, right? So I just give this check and like take something, and I think I have a draw because your king is ridiculous. Yeah.
This doesn't look great then.
I have a hard time imagining. Well, I have an easy time imagining either side winning this, but I think it shouldn't be won by either side.
Apparently the computer suggests knight e7.
Yeah, so I missed after knight e3. I thought c6, b6 we were good, but I missed that there's actually like there is a real threat for white in knight takes b7. So instead, knight e7 prevents this because now I can take this for real.
Oh yeah, now the square is not coming.
Whereas, does knight c7 also protect this? Right, because I'm guarding the diagonal. So I just go like this.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just take that. Oh, but that drops the... Yeah, I see.
You might be better here, though.
Yeah, take it.
Because you have mate on d1 that I have to watch out for. Yeah, you're winning here, right?
Yeah. Exchange for...
So that doesn't work. So I think knight c7 also is a good defense. Okay, so knight e3 actually, although it's well-intentioned, white had a real threat, which needed to be respected. Which is interesting, because I thought knight e3 was a good move. But apparently, because white has a very real and very visceral threat, you can't go knight e3. Apparently, after knight e3, Lovelace saw knight takes b7, but instead wanted to play for a win, because he was evaluating the knight takes b7 positions as draws. I wouldn't be playing for a win here as white. I've been on the back foot the entire game. I'd be like, okay, let's make a draw. But Lovelace played c6, b6, and c7. Okay, pretty obvious move. Rook comes to the second. And knight c6 is the point. He wants to have this square and create threats against the black king. Here, black needs to start his attack going. So rook takes g2. King h1. And black found a very creative attack here with rook takes g3. What's the point, something pretentious?
Pass. I know that the next move.
So
Pass.
the rook takes g3 idea it's a clearance idea. The rook was sitting on g2. Black is clearing this diagonal for the bishop. So after rook takes g3, white played h takes g3. I see a check, let's calculate this. First thing I notice is king d7 is forced. Because otherwise I queen the pawn. Okay, but I give mate with rook c7.
Slight advantage.
So
Just being rigorous.
King d7 is forced. And now I can't queen. If I take the rook, do I lose? I don't think I do. Assassin, I see your line. I'm going to put that line on the board after we calculate this. So after here, the whole point is to give the check, right? Check. And what's the win?
It's just a draw then.
Well, you can go rook c2 with the idea of trying to scoop this up. But are you winning this? You're down in exchange. You'll get 2 pawns. No, but b6 hangs. Right? Takes. Oh no, b6 doesn't hang. b6 hangs. b6 doesn't hang. Just, you know, normal quirked analysis. I think you just play this position where you have 2 pawns for the exchange. Or if you don't want to play that position, you can just play an instant draw. But Assassin and White had another line here that he posted in chat. After rook c2, okay, just looking to interfere with the queening of the pawn. Knight e7, king d7, c8, bishop takes, knight takes c8. Ah, he forgot that he has the move king takes c8. He only calculated rook takes c8, rook takes c8, king takes c8, and White has rook e1 when your pieces are a little bundled up over here. Let's see, how much time did Assassin have? Okay, Assassin only had 4 minutes here, so accurately calculating the implication of both rook takes g3 and rook c2 is very difficult, especially when, you know, this is a 4-move calculation. Rook takes g3 is also like a 4 or 5 move calculation. So it's very difficult to make 2 fairly in-depth calculations with only 4 minutes on your clock. Isn't that better? Yes, rook c2 is better than the game continuation, because after the line posted, which was this, queen, take, black appears to just have 3 pawns. Yeah, this is just winning, right?
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Can I improve on this by going knight takes a7?
Oh, I just wanted to look at one thing. We trade.
Rook takes.
Yeah, rook takes. Okay. Yeah, I was looking at this, but thinking that the rook was still over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I can at least win a pawn for White if I go knight takes a7 instead, and play the same variation this way. Actually, can I win a second pawn? No, I can't win b6, right? Because of the mate threat? Or can I? Something like this? No, you have knight d5. Never mind.
Nice.
Let me... I don't have bishop... shoot. Okay, yeah, this is just winning for black. So it looks like rook c2 would have been winning, but it was slightly miscalculated in time pressure. So Assassin and White played rook takes g3, which appears to be drawn after knight takes a7, queen. Wait, sorry, was it queen? No, it wasn't queen. It was taking the rook. And then there's nothing better than perpetual check here. But after rook takes g3, White played h takes g3. And then after bishop b7, this guy is pinned. So bad things are happening. Rook c3 played, trying to simply dislodge the knight. But rook c3, you didn't really make a threat, right? Because you can't actually take the knight. So, do I have this?
Well, there ain't no discoveries.
Am I worried about this?
I mean, there's still no discoveries. So we just drop the rook back to d6.
But then I take... Oh, to d6. Can I go king g1? No, it doesn't work, right?
Rook takes the knight?
Yeah, no, ignore me. Sorry,
But yeah, he can say that.
king c7. And I can't go king g1. Yeah, this just looks like it's good. In the game, Assassin and White played knight d1, just clearing the knight from the e3 square with tempo. Also, potentially there's some ideas of knight f2 check, although we don't want to give that check unless we're winning something because we have this nice pin on the diagonal. But White just goes back. Okay, knight e3, rook c3, knight d1 goes back. And here, if knight e3 is played, that would be a threefold repetition of the position, which, if anyone's playing for a win, it's going to be black. So black decided, let's not repeat here. Let's play king takes c7 with English, with a similar idea when the knight is on e3, with that if the rook takes, this knight is hanging with check. And not only that, I'm going to trade an extra pair of rooks, which will probably be beneficial for me. I'm down the exchange, but I have 3 pawns. I should be pressing in this ending. Rook takes d1, check. Okay, Assassin actually played rook g2. I'm interested. Is trading the rooks a good idea? Maybe not in this case, because I'm worried about this rook sort of poking and prodding me a little bit.
Yeah, it's difficult because all your pawns are on dark squares, which is, it should be good for a light square bishop, but it means you can't defend them.
But I mean, are you really getting in? Oops, sorry. Are you really getting in? Like, it's black's move, so say I play b5. I guess I just give the check and I sort of ask where you're going.
I should step in front of the bishop. Self-pin.
Yeah.
Who cares?
I'm just worried about this rook eventually showing up downtown. Assassin and White saying, I have bad memories of losing endgames bishop versus rook with tons of extra pawns. I also have bad memories, although I think for me it's been mostly rook versus knight. I've lost a lot of rook versus knight with like 3 extra pawns. So I respect this decision not to trade the rooks. Also, as Assassin and White pointed out, he's not just trading rooks, he's getting a pawn. 4 pawns. Like that. And 4 pawns for the exchange should be winning, but these endings can be tricky, as we've said. Rook e1, threatening to come downtown. King d6, check, bishop d5. Okay, similar to what we were talking about. The other thing that's sort of nice about keeping this rook on is White has to be a little bit worried about his own king safety. Like, I would love to play a move like this, but I start to be worried for White's king safety. Although, I have a threat.
Yeah, maybe. I think this is what was played, and rook g5.
Oh, this was played, okay. Yeah, rook g5, just defending against the threat. King comes, and black starts pushing the outside pass pawn. This is a very nice pawn to push, because the white king is cut off from attacking it, and as something pretentious has drawn, the bishop is guarding the h1 square, so this is a good candidate for making a queen. White looks to trade off some pawns on the other side of the board and cripple the structure. h4, defend, rook f5, king up, and g5. So now black is really getting these guys rolling. Check, check, king comes back, rook behind the pawn, check. Why can't I come up here? I guess what am I really accomplishing by coming up? Or no, sorry, let me put the bishop on a... Well...
That's decent, apparently.
I wanted to keep it on this diagonal, but then, you know,
That's cute.
there's stuff like this.
No.
Oh, just kidding. Fair. Yeah, okay, so the bishop goes to e6, and I think black can very much make the argument that with the king so cut, these three pawns are just going to win the game. Which I think is probably a good argument. So the white king went back. The white king wants to stay in front of these pawns, which is understandable. King up. White wants to activate the second rook. Rook e4. Targeting the pawn. Maybe hinting at playing some g4, h3 in the future. The pawns get traded. White targets the weakness. Rook a6. Not my first intention. Or not my first... What shall we say? Instinct. That's the word I want. It seems like we're putting our rook in jail.
I think black's point is that if you want to win that pawn, you're going to have to trade off a pair of rooks and then you're dead lost. And how are you stopping those three pawns?
Well, my point as white would be, I'm going to leave the rook on a6 and try and like create counterplay against the black pawns with my two rooks.
Sure, if you move your rook, then I can move my rook.
But I'll move this rook last. Like say I play king g1.
Okay, let's just start rolling.
You very much opened your king there, though. Maybe this is fine. Yeah, this is probably... Okay, maybe rook a6 is just a good move. I don't like putting my pieces on sort of little jail cells, but it just looks concretely like it's totally fine. Is that wise for black to ignore the b pawn and focusing on fg and h pawns? Yeah, it makes... do you mean like sacking the b pawn?
I think the only reason it works is because white cannot trade that down, because if you've got one rook versus these three pawns, you're lost. 3 pawns and bishop. And also, if you're going to move this rook, then we can move our rook.
But say I do like... Okay, let me play this.
Yeah, but just with that rook alone, I don't think you have enough.
No, but I'm not going to take it.
Oh, you're hanging a rook.
Oh, okay. Fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to say I'm not generating the play I thought I would. Okay, I think black is just winning here. I think rook a6 is a good move, and Assassin of White knows better than me, which, I probably should have expected. After rook a6, white went king e3. The reason I was playing king g1 is after king e3, black has this annoying move h3, which is pointing out that you've walked into a little trick, got a little trick. So h3, king d4. But now bishop g2, the pawn on h3 is well secured, and I'm ready to play g4, etc. Rook b5, check. And here, Assassin and White made one last calculation, and it was a good calculation. So here he played the move rook h4. And this is a move you gotta be really sure it wins, because if it doesn't win, it's gonna be an instant draw. The point is, white's gonna take this, and black has severely crippled his 3-pass pawns. But the problem for white is he simply can't stop these. So rook h4 is positionally undesirable, but concretely it just queens the h-pawn. And the final point you have to see is, what's the only winning move for black? Last chat puzzle. Only winning move for black. Assassin and White's not allowed to answer because he knows the answer.
Come on, guys.
Yeah, we've been a little quiet in chat today. That's okay. I respect it. Sometimes
it's not okay. It's not okay.
Sometimes you just want to lurk something pretentious.
People need to make stupid guesses to make us feel better.
I'll make a stupid guess. H2. Sad.
Yeah.
Did I make you feel better?
A little bit.
Good.
The other move that I was looking at was related to the actual move. I was thinking if this works.
Sad.
Yeah, it does not. But interestingly, will lead to the correct move, which is also to threaten the rook.
Yeah, and here the point is, the white rook needs to move, but wherever it moves, namely if it goes to b1, h2 comes, and you cannot prevent h1 queen. Notice that if the black bishop moves to any other square, white is in time to go king g1 when he stops the pawns, and white is not winning because he has no pawns, but white is certainly not losing because there's no way black is queening anything with the destroyed majority. So a good calculation one final calculation from Assassin White, realizing that after king f2, he has bishop c6, which queens the h-pawn. A nice game from Assassin and White, I have to say. Takeaways from this game. I think, first things first, really strong tactical awareness, not being lazy in the opening, and realizing that in this very simple, basic-looking opening position, there's actually a tactical opportunity with knight takes e4. So being tactically aware, even in the most boring-looking opening positions, can often get you very good positions. Then the next one was being objective. Where did we have that? Oh yeah, objectively here, white should play knight takes b7, which Lovelace saw, but he also saw that this position was a draw, and therefore he wanted to play something else, but when he plays on with some other move, he gets a losing position. So making sure you're being objective and being willing to accept draws in positions where you're worse. Last but not least, I had one other one. Oh yeah, if you're worse, like in this position, make sure that you're playing for active pieces. Rook AB1, rook on an excellent file. We're sacking a pawn, we don't care, we want active pieces. F4, activating this rook. Lovelace played really well to activate all his pieces in a worse position and cause problems for Assassin in White. Assassin in White has a final comment. Knight takes c2, not good. Yeah, I was looking at some other stuff. I just wasn't totally sure what Black was playing. I was looking at stuff like rook he8 with the idea of pushing this. Maybe there's... I didn't look at this during analysis, but maybe there's knight e2, knight c3 idea?
Good, doesn't that just help double? With bishop b3, rook b3.
Yeah, I wanted to put my knight on d5, but maybe... yeah, it doesn't quite work. Yeah, that doesn't seem good. I agree. I think rook he8 is the most promising move I've seen so far. Just with the idea of pushing the majority. It's just so hard to activate these rooks.
Complicated position for sure.
Yeah, I think knight takes c2 is very human. Look, he's giving you a pawn, you might as well take it, see what happens. I also don't... I'm having trouble finding a better move. Let me try one last thing. Rook ab1, check, and knight f4.
What's the point? Just a good square?
Yeah, just a good square. Also, I want to clear this square for this as well. Like the game. Assassin White saying he doesn't like e4 f5 plans. Okay, but I feel like Black needs to generate counterplay, or else there's just going to be a pretty nasty attack against the b7 pawn. Bishop d7, c6. Okay, but rook b2, bishop c6, rook here. I don't know, I'm going knight here. I guess you have it covered. But I'll play c3, I'll kick you out. I don't know, I think Black is not getting a lot of counterplay here. Include knight e2 f4, let's look. Check. Knight f4. Rook somewhere. e2, let's stay here. Bishop d7. Bishop c6. Oh, and we're hitting g2.
Nothing like f3 then?
Yeah, but f3 now, all of a sudden, rook he8 followed by e4 has become... Well, okay, my knight's hanging.
So knight c4 still?
Yeah, right? It's. I think this is hard to play for Black. Like, I think I have to go g5 or something, but then knight a5 is coming. Yeah, it's like... Ooh, hello. Yeah, it looks hard to play. I think taking the pawn may be a good decision, because I don't see where our counterplay is coming here. I have an idea. Let me play g5, so that if you go knight c4, I have e4.
Okay, and if I still go here?
But now I have counterplay. fg2. Show me.
don't get mated.
I might get mated.
If you go here, you're dropping the rook. I think you might get mated.
I might get mated. I accept this. Okay. Anyway, this was not the game. This is sort of a wild and crazy line. We were looking on ways to improve on knight takes c2, but I don't really see many improvements. I think you sort of are obligated to take the material and run with it. Anyway, this has been our game reviews. I hope that you enjoyed and that you got something instructive from it. I am Quirked once again with my dear friend Something Pretentious. Any final comments, Something Pretentious?
No, just always a pleasure.
Thank you to our wonderful viewers. Thank you, Assassin White. I really much appreciate that. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. If you're interested, this will all be on YouTube. The first part is already up on YouTube. So feel free to check that out if you missed something. And enjoy this season. Take care, all.
Thanks. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.